take refuge in the Sangha. I take refuge in the Sangha.
Now until my enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and by the merit credence practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings.
All sentient
Beings enjoy happiness and causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings never be separated from joyful bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment, and anger. This ground, anointed with perfume, strewed with flowers, Mount Meru, encircled by the four continents, surmounted by the sun and the moon. I visualize this Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy the Pure Land. Idam Guru Rana Mandala Kanunatayame.
됐어.
딱 같은 때기 상기종 이와 된다.
주의로.
이와 진짜.
수고 니그 한번 됐다. 나서. 처음부터 선배층이 야야. Yeah. Good morning. Thank you for coming. And let's get started. So I'm going to read, let the translator read on your copy. That's page 26. Page 26. It says how to think about the brevity of this life, death, and impermanence. Okay. We should think about how being unmindful of death is the main cause of the whole heap of mistakes performed in this and future lives, and how familiarity with death and impermanence is advantageous. The sole means for achieving everything excellent in this and future lives. The fear of being separated from your body, possessions, and the relative of this life to which you are attached, caused by thinking about death, is not to fear intended here, for that is the fear of one who has no understanding of the path. What is this about? Everything that is born from a union of parents due to the forces of action and disturbing emotions is bound to die. And although you may fear it, it cannot be avoided. Moreover, until we have accomplished the purpose of our future life, we will continue to fear death. If you think about that and realize it at the time of death, you will have no fear. The actual way to think about death or to reflect on the inevitability of death, the uncertainty of the time of death, and that only the doctrine can help at the time of the death. That's all.
미긴 로아 미긴 놈들 강한테 제가 난치게 된 것들이 이 놈들 제가 난치게 된 것들 가능도 땅 가지고 랑진 그 접다 그래서 때 또또 매파지 이나 가도 문도 교도 문도 내가 가도 그거 가도 도도 매바지게 짜다 도도 매바지게 짜 가도 될리 라테 동린지 등 그런 바로 하스데 시에지네 상무 당지로 되지 되다 될리 탑으로 가는데 탑시 가도 당주 때때 다다 뭐 일조도 처음 딱 봐시고 좀 저도 15월 정도 가도 처음 딱 봐. 기와 레바 강식인데 처음 봐. 미시 봐. 처음 강식인데 추위 지나 안에 가가를 지금 가도 되는 직접 매용의 탈lum로 단단히 상무동 영상 팀이 등로 뭐 하시나 때라 노는 짓던 거. 탈lum은 지금 또 시고 그래. 대차당 가도 세들라 기와 레바에 장 안으로 처음 된거 말하고 안으로 쨌던 높이 상무지요 동복배가 딱반으로 지kim에 삼아도시 이게 비경 상무동 로몽고 차시당 니네가 장마인 네 차성지 잠바 정말 쪽바도 제랑 장마인什么정 근데 지네가 대통 가도 등에서 이 내다와 당에 딱동나면 네클린 삼바 또 가도 로고 치시가 당아도 진짜 로벨람래 대체당 원이지나 딱 맞다 버리는데 까지 지도 오는지 리드 남치나 카트로 그래 삼로 땅이시나 딱 될라 카 마트비 뭐도 가정만 어제 배주 땅 그런데 배주 땅인 게 고추 땅인데 한도지 거래 한도지야 세다 70만 남세요 한도지 내다시니 다른 가도 처음에 딱 봐. 말을 시송나 니니인데 던지 놀롱초도 카트로 그선데 세베교 때 말아도 지금 파워에 껴. 뒤뒤 삼주도 정하도 보면 쪽 처음에 딱 보면 수 간지 근데 기와 레비주고 지와 등이 좀 지와 등은 아주 기동 남았다 등을 진짜 얘가 난체 능력이 되고 그래서 사무 때를 직전에 못하니 같은 게 주식 건 주식 기와 들어와이나 뭐 일로 지치고 있어 정사 때문에 얘가 난체 리동 용무 기와 레동나 띠건도 지와 용화 얘가 난체 능력 용기와 봐 내가 딱네 델리 타와가 다른 주고 그러지 다 델리 타를 다른 때까지나 내종 삼바기라 끼고 그래서 모두 뜻이거라.
Right. Okay. Well, let's see. So our the object of the contemplation at this point is that to understand our true status and to fully understand our true status based upon the reason that we all realize that there are tremendous stress, all kinds of hardships, and the life itself basically, and is for us and in general, it's kind of a great and endless challenges. Among all the challenges, all the hardship and difficulties and stress, there are ones who you can sort of to fix it, or you can overcome it, but there are the ones you cannot, or you can't do anything about it. For example, like a death. So death, there's no means, there's no way, and you can't really get rid of it, or sort of to run away from it. So therefore, since this is a reality, and this is something you have to acknowledge, and you knew it is true, so therefore, instead of try to ignore it or sort of deny, ignore or push away, why not seriously and think about it? Consider the nature of this the inevitability of the death, and then see whether there is a way, and you can face it, and you can handle it without being scared off or being terrified. So therefore, think about the way, the method, or the technique to help you overcome the fear and the sense of absolute some kind of devastating, and that is our goal. That should be our purpose, to deal with this very object of contemplation. So that's our purpose. Right? Our purpose is based upon the correct understanding of our own status, our own conditions. So then, what is the way, and what is the technique? How we can depend upon that very technique or the way, the means to overcome this devastating, horrible reality which we call the death. Generally speaking, to deal with or to fix this problem is that first of all we have to know, and we are under the influence of we live with the four wrong philosophies. Okay? Our life has been sort of kidnapped or hijacked by the four wrong philosophical view, or four wrong outlooks concerning our own status, our own life, or our own living condition, or the condition in which we live. For example, first of all, when we look at ourselves, when we consider our status, we generally think we are clean. And clean in the sense that, we consider ourselves as someone is not changing, right? We are permanent, or some kind of being the state of there's no changes as taking place or not happening. So we kind of tend to follow in the place of faith and think that is the case, that's the truth. So therefore, we give ourselves that's this wrong impression, this wrong outlook, wrong philosophy, and kidnap our life and lead us. So when you're looking, indeed, are you someone who is not changing? Is that impression of impermanent or fixation? Is something to fix? The fixation, that is your true living condition? The answer is not, right? So therefore, you have to first of all overcome that wrong philosophy or illusion that you are permanent. Instead, you think that you are impermanent, meaning that you are changing or keeping changing and moment by moment. And secondly, when we look at ourselves or consider our status, we think we are clean. So clean in the sense that myself, I as a person, and so I am clean. And clean is in contrast to the dirty, right? Or ugly. So when we look at the other people, other stuff, we may think, oh, that's disgusting, that's ugly, or that's dirty. But when we look at ourselves, and we have this sense of cherishedness, and sort of consider look at those ugly, dirty, and disgusting stuff, we are clean. So therefore, we have this attachment to that very self. But this is the second illusion. This philosophy of ourself, or understanding of self, is wrong, and this outlook is completely mistaken. And then you look at your third philosophy. That's again is very wrong with respect to your own status or self or conditions in which you live. that we generally tend to think that life and ourself is basically is kind of something is pleasurable, is pleasant, and is something is good and nice. So this again is a wrong impression, is a wrong philosophy, and a mistake. This outlook is a mistake, because when you look at really, are you by its nature or inherently, right, and something sort of fixed or bound up to this pleasurable and a good and a sense and the nice, or something is decent, and there's any decent intrinsically build the prominent quality and that which you can define yourself as nice or good and pleasant? The answer is not. And then lastly, your wrong philosophy, your mistaken is the self. So the self is here in this particular context is is an inherently existed entity. So when we look at all these four philosophies and or the four perspectives regarding yourself, and because the ideas or your recognition, understand yourself is got so wrong, so therefore, and you are facing all kinds of the challenges and difficulties and the hardship, and so the way to fix this hardship, and including particularly in this context the fears of death and the devastating the tragedies of death, and then we need overcome, free ourselves from those four outlooks or four wrong philosophies. And then when you then adopt the right view and correct views, and then lead your life with the correct view, a correct philosophy. So this way, and in this lifetime, you will do the things according to the truth, according to the actuality, and then you will accomplish something that's truly beneficial, and then that benefits and qualities you've been achieved, and it can also bring into the life after. And so, yeah, we need to honestly look at ourselves, right? And if you look at yourself, how you are doing, and what you're doing, and how well you are doing, with your life. If you find out primarily, and you are someone who is focused on the collections of material wealth, and who is only focused on the manage the day-to-day life, meaning that try to be happy and pleased and feels good, and follow this very sensibility, and do everything to secure the sense of pleasantness and throughout the day and the night, and sort of just centered on that very purpose. And then in order to secure this very short vision and then very limited and a sense of wrong and sense of the pleasurable, or something is intrinsically good, and then but through the means of collected wealth, and or do whatever you can, and focus on in the worldly everything is the worldly, then you must honestly tell yourself, even though you think you are someone who is seeking for a higher spiritual quality, something is highly spiritual, your basic practice and the day-to-day philosophy actually shows that you are very your attitude towards life, towards yourself, and is very ordinary. There's nothing and spiritual or very higher than there. So anyway, understand all this, and then so we have to when we're doing like a mantra recitation and say daily prayers, right, and meditation, all this and actions will naturally come. Why? Because now you understand what is the real thing, what is something truly beneficial, and based upon the understanding of the actuality, and including the impermanent of, particularly in this context, is impermanent death. That will really give you, motivate you and encourage you and give you the purpose and to dedicate yourself to Dharma practice. And so anyway, we are born, and death is something is unavoidable. So therefore, our the practice has to be started with what we call is a renunciation. So therefore, we must think about it and meditate on the renunciation. Then it go to
니와 근데 오늘 저와 맞다서 미칠 진는데 실치와 니와 남친님이 저희 지시마 도전 지금 뭐 지진도 와 저희 동부도 자동도 하고
오야 오늘 거로 dinner. Now let's continue to read. Okay. The inevitability of death. Death is certain to come, because no one who has a body can avoid die. In the special verse collected by topics, it says, if Buddha, solitary realizers, and hearers have all abandoned their bodies, what can be said about ordinary beings? In whatever land you may live, you can never avoid death. The same text says, wherever you live, you are not immune to death, neither on the earth in any direction, nor in space, nor within the ocean, nor if you were to hide amidst the mountains. Even taking rebirth does not avert death. The same text says, the wise have understood that those of the past and those who are yet to come have given up this body and are subject to destruction. Therefore, abide in the doctrine and practice with determinations. La. La.
니와 칠라 노바임 바세 지금 누가 되는 오나
니와 칠라 노바임 바에
기타다 오늘 마스 올데 자다 시간 동들을 또 소리 지금 누가 되는 이거도 되는 마스네
야 자당 대신 문년진이 나한테 last one 좀 치셔 이 처음부터 해야죠 자당
되는 마 맞는 거거든 뭐다 저동나 뒤에 맞으시는 게 경기전 노왜 여울을 담바 끝나더니 로지 소소는 내려오나네 되게 타로면 받는 때는 제가 나 지금 등에 오야 that's thing don't go yeah. And so let's continue read more. The Sutra of Advice for Kings says, suppose 4 great mountains in the 4 directions, solid, stable, essential, uncrumbled, uncracked, unblemished, very hard, extremely dense, and touching the sky were to be
overturned. The grass, forest, tree trunks, branches, all the leaves, all the living beings and creatures would be crushed into the smallest particles. This would not easily be avoided by escaping quickly or with strength, nor by wealth, substances, mantras, or medicine. O great king, likewise the four great fears cannot easily be avoided by escaping quickly or with strength, nor by substance, mantra, or medicine. What are these four? Old age, sickness, death, and decline. O great king, old age comes with the destruction of youth, sickness with the destructions of health, decline comes with the destructions of all your fortune, and the death comes with the destruction of life. They cannot easily be avoided by escaping quickly or with strength, nor with wealth, substance, mantras, or medicine. 看这句话就不要了。
我的地道东路跟修着那里，到北村镇街那这个北差不多北兄弟什么年地表怎么做的那，跟两个人地从的东，就在东郊嘛，本来在窑东，就在城市上，恐怖全部做从嘛，对两个人地从的，路家恐怖从嘛，但是这他没有的，对了北村街那个说是有跑的从嘛，基本没些的，在东部修的，但第一呢，这是一个工的那种。 처음에 사자강에 되는 저거를 로바강에 되는 처음에 지금은 이제 답시당에 때 용어요 말이야. 사속강도 강도 warning 강강할 손에 그 나위 농도나 시야를 대자다. 단 남층에 치티기와 주는 것 같아요. 어떤 자다 배나 그 농나 가지나 로치부 주소전에 봐 나리 용거나 다 때라 소전에 용거자다 속강을 타사요. 제니 때 타사 간사요 말로. 일단 좋아하는 미지는 좋아하는 다른 제마도 좀 하요 맞아. 일단 저 나름 좋아하네. 대 그런 노력했다는 어떤 직대 간다 지금은 지금 가시는 연노를 솔라로 맹그 지금 솔라로 뭐다 제가 잡을지 잔도지 로로 되는 연구요다. 이런 초 미친다. 아주 남측이 좋아했다 지금. 가세요. 김민기 좋아하던 좋아하기진 리기 좋아하는 걸. 디멘지 차이나 아주 지금 잡힌 도와 한다 때가 지금 겹던 걸. 난 처음 예진 그런 돌아서나 스직 겹던 말이. 대자다네. 대자 제가 나 저거 능을 뜯던 아주 스직라 도도요 말에 들리 타르시 바까지 버르스나 그 안에다 타르와통 그래지. 타르와통나 아니 능을 리 젤위 요모 탐쳤던 카드로 요모 탐쳤다서는 요모티 언글랑위 리기 나면 리트 쪽요 말 리트 마르면 리트령 옹 제가 나한테 쪽요 제가 나한테 마르면은 다 되네 다 기출라랑 토발 대자다 어다 조 받주시고 뜻지고를 지내다 안에 탈로디나트 쇼라 그다 다다디 같은데라 다 남친이 미시 처왕이 지셔 처왕이 전에 남친이 지는 거다 처왕이 전에 처왕이 지 맞으니까 딱 맞고 검다 야게나 다른 가족들이 칸에 시기나 결혼 때 의스 삼당은 소소들 검잖아. 내가 검 가게 보지나 시작금 집을 셰르 차배주당. 말아서 적다니 말아서 성소 딱 봐야 삼들 배주다 먼지 빠진 지워진 집에 삼삼도더라. 내가 상호더라. 됐다다 밑다다 뭐마다다 종지바 통과도 통부도 밑 종지바도 또 가는 영화 간다지 통화 간다 영화를 삼동다. 또 가는 같이 지긴 이러고 그때 나랑 뒤라는 거지 말아 나다 맞지 친구 차한테 로우 합치려대 거기서 좀 로치죠 걔네 좀 남성비 좀 말을 해 같이 지금 내용 왔다 좀 아주 시향이 지내다 대상도 하나 어떤 건데 딱 받아 말했다 이런 거 쇼지 내가 그때 상담하면 이 통통래 이 통통지는 지도래 나 지금 와서 내 이용 거지 남이다 상한 지기도래 그 상담도 하나 가르쳐도 요래잖아 지도에 하고요나 지기지라 지기로 만지기 바로 때 가서 겨와 지금 세워들 냠진 좀 바래 냠진 좀 바데 냠진 좀 더서 지기지라 아주 대중 문제 와요 때니 종아에서 때 지기지라 때 비건데 데드크 소라만 보도 가서 지기지라 대중 종교요 그래서 어때 삼다 통한 직비랑인데 다른 애들이 지금 냠판들이 지금 다 지금 정치는 자원이 지기지라 등을 제 소라 등을 지기면 되고서 정말 내길을 들었는데 같이 뭐지 같이 내리랑 때 가서 뭐지 내 영어지 되고 그래서 samut iores teki twaida oda lima takpago bi hayunzi namade niwaji kumbare ta li tsamor zabasayate ngado nga tsama show ni jomso tela tsi chapaki ngo ni li no chokki no chokchi tela pen sem trema to ta tela chi lam so mi chi kha tang ne kyu no ni rin lam so control ngado oda mi chi te chi tela chi no ngado te soro no mu charo ote 정원은 좀 봤다. 정원은 좀 봤다. 상당한 범죄도 내가 아시고 정말에서 우리 정다요 말와다 때 어베를 받아 마 치다던 거 손에 차던 나라 파트네. 네 조직 좀 나신데 오늘 소바지. 딱 나도 미 간다지 정말 간다지 소바 인도하기더라. 이 정초에 좀 미치고도 와. 정초도 간이 용말 정초생아 소바지 그러. 정초도 간이 용말이잖아. 정초도 말하는 거 린디가 간이도 파이사 차서 린디가 너무 간이 정초부터 소바 간이 크면도 그런지. 아주 잘하는 데 쪽발 나나 쪽발 지나 아주 쪽발 세계나 돈도 소소 조금은 쪽발요. 그래서 상당하나 어때 니들 맞아 버는 거지. 진짜 맞아 버려. 아때 쇼지 도적지 때라 쇼지까지 야 근데 와다 꼭꼭 같이 지기로 진짜 나지 뭐 쪽발들 지금 때라 쇼지 같이 하면 되겠네. 때라 도적 총세나 닐 때라 스파 총세나 때라 준비 잠바트 총로 아주 만진배 핵심 무슨 말한 거 니리 근데 정말 있을 때 쇼들이 오말 서로 동용처럼 센서 동용처럼 가에 내가 contato 지금 딜라 때 릴라 때 세나 용거 봐 세나 마오나 릴라 때 리트 페조 땅말 contato 리트 페조 땅에 이 잘라 판도 지와 어런신 단지가 던져 버셔 발라 맞추지 리트 요니랑 땡가 단다 통통이 봐 페조 용타서 강라에 벤토와 지런 아 링가 있으면 샤와 강던데 야르 수나 밀라 판도지 삼로 때를 신고 땅 타와이나 어떠마 동가도 이 지구라도 본자면 리 코랑 소이체때 뭐지랑 갈리자는 리 배ሾ통네 이 뭐지 조선한데 용어시대요 말 오늘 당시 때 무슨 말 갈리자가 정말때 리스 끼고 용어데 끼고 서울 친데 저 치즈 맞는 등상나 상고로 근데 리 배ሾ통 사대 야고 땅 또도 매서 쇼지가 많이 들리지네 알아서 뭐 미친데 뭐하다 콜라테 그때 많이 봐 초즈음네 콜라 당지지 뭐 동도 맞잖아 리 코로나 강고할 때는 때베 사사한테 잡아쳐냈더니 냐냐다 베드 등급그라스 뭐지고 어떤 만져봤지 리 배주고 또다 어성디 안에 다 대원은 좀 그런 거 리 맞기고 되어 있었는데 기고 되어 채트 같은 맞추지고 기고 되어 때 무슨 이런 말 기고 되어 줄어도 내대다 스토치 하다더니 배 가자깔 나 차이 강은 채 림 디딩 거 근데 지금 사이 통지 때 지도 정말 그래서 강마서 또 내고 양한테 검니 또 내들 또 노라만 보여 이 되어이나 되고 말기는 저도 나지 되고 등이 기란지 등이 기란지 임바 하고나 어다 마오나 때기 되와지 도배지 요면 때 다시 동네 때기 되와지 토바 요바 미송나 때라때 때라 바바지 그래서 맞죠 민중적으로 잡으려 아니 타마들 정말 용사들 다 리더라고 비 다든지 당진지 온 거가 어떤 나세요 저사들 리디 동안 누구면 됐자고 전에 리군고니 강반에 뭐 짜내서 그 강배 세모 왔다 나세 가도 나나나진 용만진 가와 리차시들이 내린다고 강도 아니 얘기도 많이 그때 많이 발리 나세 많이 받대 동아도 삼모도 뭐 어떻게지니 봄트바이나 리르다 차번로 갈갈 용들 소소를 삐 딱시 땅네 대지니 소소를 삐는 소소랑이 그 뭐지 이게 좋아이나 어떤 건데 때때스 그래도와 세르 소소 탁주지 좋아이나 아니 텔레 니와 버스 또 맞는다 때때 지게 근데 시기도 근데 세기도 그 저동 동호 소소 센데 텔레 dumba요 미 차버래 dumba요나 텔레 바바요나 텔레 소아지 텔레 기능 내릴 때는 쇼바지 위 연들 소스기라 저런 거 어때지나 단 처음 만나고 봐셔비 하윤 지나면 니와로 처음 말했다. 맞다. 처음에 딱 말했다. 아다데 자면서 대샤. 기부가 뭐 시지 섬는 됐지나 팬통이요. 저 지구세는 때 나도 기부요. 아들 이 가와마 제가 세 먹을 때 많이.
Okay. Well, let's go read how we should interpret what the text says here. And essentially, my interpretation is this. So first, we'll just remind you that we are trying to learn one of the critical and even considered the most fundamental the practice of the Buddha Dharma, that is meditate on the impermanence of death. In other words, that we call it the inevitability of the death. So the meditate on the inevitability of death, before we meditate on that, we have to learn all the logical reasonings. In other words, we have to investigate the qualities, the reasonings, the qualities of this meditation, the reasoning to support this meditation. Like the text says here, so the death is related to the body. When we talk about the death, we are only and think about this and many examples, like when you think generally about the Arhat, right, or the practitioners of the heroes or Shravaka, or realizer, and all the noble beings, enlightened ones. And from a spiritual point of view, those very highly revered spiritual beings. And as far as their bodies are concerned, from our human, basic human perspective, we know that it has been the countless number of noble beings who appeared to the world, okay? But none of them remain the same or remain in the world. They all are gone. So then you think about yourself, right? If there are those spiritually highly accomplished ones, they had to, and they all had this, right, the separation of the body and themselves. Then, of course, the death for you is inevitable, right? So right there, inevitability of death by comparing with the spiritually highly achieved beings, you will know, and there's no way for you to think that the separation of you and your body will not take place. That's not the case at all. Then, like the text also give us example and of the in the worldly case. In the world case, the highest or the most powerful being is in the either today or the ancient time, we call the majesty or the highness, and usually refer to the kings or the queens, right? Those are the most powerful ones on earth. But again, when you look at them from the death or inevitability of the death point of view, and there's no king, no greater queen, or no anyone who, even they have all the means, all the powers, and but none of them are left. And even, many of them, nobody left. They lived like more than 100 years. All of them are gone. And so we compare those highly achieved, accomplished spiritual being, and then earthly, the most powerful ones. Ordinary person like us, of course, and the death, even where the so-called death is more inevitable, and we are more fragile in that sense, because there's no place we can go, just like they could not find a place to hide or to escape from death, and on the earth you can't make it can't avoid the death. So even in the space, also there's no way, and you can avoid the death. Even you go to the moon, the death also will follow you to the moon. So you will die anyway. And then the examples given from the earth or from the physical world. So the changing of the physical world, in a sense, is also like the death. They also go through the process of some kind of, to end up with a great destruction. So that is a form of death. And we know that Mount Meru, and then there's 4 great continents and mountains. So they are, even though they are compared to the limited lifespan for ordinary being of the ordinary being on Earth, those the great continents and the mountains are, and their lifespan are inconceivable, but yet at the end, and the great destruction when they're taking place, it will take place. When they take place, even it doesn't matter how gigantic, how huge they are, but they will become the smallest particles. And so then see, is it clear that when you do this comparison with yourself with the most highly venerated beings, to the mighty, most powerful beings, and then to the earth, to the physical objects such as mountains, earth, and the death as the end of life is inevitable. And we often think that we have the way to avoid the death. But indeed, ultimately speaking, you cannot do that, because there's no wealth which can redeem or help you to avoid death, and there's no medicine which can also help you to escape from the ultimate death. Speaking of death, and the medicines and wealth and other supportive life and conditions, we have to know that in general there are 2 forms of death. Right? One death is death occur as some kind of advantageous, unfavorable obstacle. So meaning that it happens due to the undesirable circumstances, but not the actual death. So when this kind of death occur, you could be able to avoid it by by all the positive means, such as like do it spiritually, and then do something and the rituals or practice, and so there's ways for you and to help you to sort of dispel or to remove those unfavorable circumstantial conditions that sort of attentively bring the death to you. So you can fix that. You can avoid that kind of death. But again, this is not ultimate death. This death is due to the negative condition or unfavorable circumstances. But the real death, okay, and that death, you cannot do anything about it. And so if there is a way you can do to avoid the fear of the death, then you have to turn yourself into the Buddha Dharma. So the way to address the fear of death by practice Buddha Dharma is that you focus on your self, and you dedicate yourself and to the practice that helps you to eliminate all defilements or destructive negative emotions, or counter the destructive emotions. This is because if you vanish or eliminate all the afflictive emotions, then you will naturally be able to stop the karma which is caused by or driven by, stirred by the afflictions. And so when you reach the point where you no longer accumulate any karma, then as the production of karma, the death, aging, illness, and the birth, aging, and the illness and death, those are four the horrible the challenges of life will not take place. Why? Because there's no forces behind those four life experiences is making you or push you to experience these four things. So yes, so the process is this, right? To overcome the fears of the death is to cut out the afflictive emotions, because it will free you from the accumulation of the karma. And as soon as you be able to free yourself from the accumulation of karma, then those whatever you those the unfavorable or unwanted the unwanted life experience, the four unwanted life experience such as birth, rebirth, and aging, illness, and death will automatically will cease. So that's how the process is working. Anyway, let's come here to talk about the actual practice of the death. So death I'm talking about here is as the unavoidable inevitability of the death. That one is absolutely surely and definitely taking place. Let's say now you are the one who's going to meditate on this very topic, a very fact, that is the inevitability of the death. So as a meditator, how you meditate this? Within the two forms of meditation, meaning that karma abiding or stability meditation and analytical meditation, and now here, in order to fully realize the impermanence of death, and you need to adopt the second form of meditation, that is analytical meditation, meaning you needed to analyze this, analyze the actuality, the status of this reality or our living experience, right? And for the thing which we are dealing with called death. So what is death, right? So death, the subject, your object meditation is death. Now you need to use your intelligence, apply all the strength or the powers of your intelligence to now go on and go to and apply it to this very experience or the understanding of the death. And see what what's your understanding? How well you understand the death? What is the death? Right? So look at that very the object of meditation very carefully and attentively and critically analyzes it. Okay. In the sitting form of meditation, you can start your meditation of meditation on inevitability of death, doing like this. So just relaxly, all right, and sort of gently, and do some kind of a survey or investigation. So looking around in your head, think about it, scan through. Among everyone you know, is anybody who passed away recently, or as far as you can remember, right? Then think, right? Bring that person, that very thing happened to that person you know so well. So we call it death. He is dead. He is passing away. So then think, oh yes, so death is something like that. Okay, get the sense of that death is like my friends or my relatives, so and so, who passed away. That is some kind of images of death. Get some kind of reference or clue from there. And then also look at yourself and turn to yourself. Say, and goes back to your life, right? And try to reflecting on how what kind of life you come through. So start at the moment you remember in your life. So who you were, right, and how you going through each step and bring to yourself to this very point of today, in this very moment of your meditation. When you analyze this, right, step by step, and you will see the changes not on the gross level, but in this kind of relatively subtle level. Then you say, oh, actually, and then yes, so I am, right, I was, and now I am, and so this am will become worse, and then so this day by day, right, and go moment by moment, and then day by day, I am actually just like the one who passed away, right, recently, or like I remember, and I still have vivid memory about him or her or them, and I am also swiftly heading towards the same direction. I am also approaching that very thing happened to that person or the friends of mine. So this will give you a clear sense of what is the impermanent or the inevitability of the death. And I think that this, to fully understand the impermanent or the inevitability of death, of course, has a tremendous spiritual qualities. But even, and if you meditate so well, and on this very topic, And what are the immediate benefits you can get is that by really see you are moment by moment, right, and heading swiftly towards the death, and will give you a really good understanding about your life, the qualities of life, and the great values of life, and also encourages you, give you the reason to be very nice to the person next to you, or the families you live with, and whoever you meet with or you deal with. Because you know you are approaching the death, right? You no longer will be on earth and deal with that person or in these same circumstances. You will not, and actually you're losing, and you're keeping losing the same circumstances, either favorable or unfavorable. So if it's favorable, then you know that you will no longer last forever, and then you should this understanding and will help you to really have a more love and be kind to the person you live with, such as your family member and your coworker or the friends and you know. And at the same time, and this meditation on the inevitability of death also will help you to give you the courage and give you the reason and strength, and to be very nice and be tolerant and to be nice to others, and have more compassion and be kind to others. Why? Because when you're looking around, you see they are approaching the death and moment by moment. And so you are suffering, and your happiness, and their happiness and their suffering, everyone. So the relationship between you and all of them is interdependently. So you are actually experiencing the same suffering and same aspiration. So therefore, it will help you to be very kind and nice. And so this is the practical benefits you can get immediately. And then another step you need to take in your meditation, and the meditation on the inevitability of death, is that so see how the separation of your body and yourself are taking place, right? When you're really looking step by step, right, and the goes more subtle and more deeper, and the layer by layer reach the point. Now you really for sure, you know for sure that this separation of death, the body and you will definitely take place. Then you will appreciate the great benefits of this wisdom, this understanding, this insight. And then will help you to easily overcome the 4 illusions or 4 wrong philosophies we talked earlier at the beginning, right? Like you will no longer look at yourself from a body, right? And you are clean, right? You are someone who is clean, and whereas others are kind of dirty or ugly, right? When you really see yourself, is not analytically again think yourself whether you are clean or not, and then you will not get like Shantideva says about the analyzes in his Bodhisattva's Guide and the way of guide and the way of life. So when you look and examine your body, right, and so inside every part of your body, you will find no single stuff or single the pieces that can be considered as clean and or as something is really very appealing. And the reality is also think about the bathroom, right? Why you use a bathroom? We know that none of us can avoid using the bathroom. So the bathroom is sit there and been built up is for one thing, and reveal one thing, that is there are disgusting stuff the stuff in generally we consider is ugly or we consider is bad, and we don't like it at all. It's actually within us. Okay? And that's why we need a bathroom. We go use it. But we don't have that clear understanding about ourselves, and that's our true status. In fact, we have this opposite, the wrong view, and about ourselves. And so that's why when people make any comments about our image, right, our appearance, our self, we can be very sensitive. We can easily get offended. Why? Because our natural inclination or natural tendency is that we believe we are clean and we are someone is nice. When people point out our self and bodily comments on us, we immediately feel that's not the case, that's not true. So we immediately will defend, right? Out of attachment, right? We will get so offended and get so mad. So anyway, so when you meditate on this and free yourself from by meditating on the inevitability of the death, and then transform and then look at back to your four illusions, so you will not have a strong attachment to your physical body. And it's then you will have you will be able to appreciate the experience of what we call the equanimity. Okay, you can equalize equanimity, or be able to abide in something we call the equipoise, the state of equanimity. And when you are truly be able to arrive in and abiding on the equanimity, then what happens is that you will have no attachment to your body, but you will fully and wisely and fully and wisely use your body. Okay, you will give the good the task that has a great and a spiritual quality, and you will make it and to work on something that's truly meaningful. Okay? And you will not indulgent or sort of obsessed to yourself to this bodily and sensational the pleasant feeling from a moment to moment. You will not. Why? Because now you are above that attachment to the sensational and bodily the sensational pleasure, but you are in the state of equanimity, and so you will direct the energies of your body and its usefulness, and take direct it to do something that is truly meaningful and useful. So this gives you actually a great chance to taking care of yourself and your bodily manage your body so well. And opposite from this is that you feed your body, you try to please your to content, right? To satisfy your sensational and bodily attachment, desire for something is pleasurable, something makes you feel excited, feel happy. If you do this and over, and then just to feed in that hunger of the sensational desire, attachment, for some of you, there are people you can see, because of this reason, and they are solely and strongly attached to the sensational bodily pleasure, so they can just sleeping and feed their body and eating frequently and sleep and as much as they feel and pleased and they wanted. And then what happened? When you look around, see the obesity, right? And you will see that their body is really now become something that's become very heavy and then become against it, something that's against themselves. Whereas if you meditate on the inevitability of the death and try to free yourself from the illusions of the first illusion of the four, that is, you are not clean, and then you can easily arrive at the point and then abide in what we call the state of equanimity. And then you can properly use your body and use it for great the qualities. So then, yes, the second illusion, that is you are pleasant, right? And normally we think we are pleasant. Are we really pleasant? We have to, again, in this the meditation we call the stability meditation, we have to analyze this step by step. Is there really something that's pleasurable? And we are, by its very nature, is it pleasant or not? You have to carefully, honestly, and think about this. If it is really ourself is a pleasurable, a life itself is essentially or naturally and intrinsically is good, then it should be, right, always good. If it's happy or something nice, it should be always nice or good. But your experience actually tells you it is not, right? Because like a food, you eat more and, right, at the beginning probably it's pleasant. But if you consuming more and that very sense of pleasurable will become something is misery. So that tells that it is our basic sense of the pleasure or the something is intrinsically there as nice or good is an illusion, is wrong. And so then if you truly understand this point, you can easily develop what we call the renunciation, meaning you will detach instead of continuously attached to that very sense of pleasurable or consider yourself as something is pleasurable. Life in general is pleasurable. You will think that based on the actuality, the real reason, and then you will turn your back to those temporary sensational pleasure by the means of renunciation. Then the prominent, right? Our basic understanding is that due to the lack of or fail to meditate on inevitability of impermanence, we tend to think of ourselves as permanent, is something that never changes or non-change, change is not taking place. Indeed, like we analyzed this before, in your meditation, the analytical meditation, if you analyze a step by step, layer by layer, right, and you will see that how the things are and yourself and actually, and as there's no moment second as identical and second moment, and you are being the same or not changing. In fact, it's absolutely opposite. Okay? And the last and the quality of the meditate on the inevitability of the death is that now you can free yourself from the mistaken understanding of self, right? So now you know you are actually is not independent self or I. So the very claim assertion you make, say I am, and actually is not there. That very sort of a prominent, independent, inherently built-in self is again is illusion. So to do that, again, you do the analytical meditation, like we addressed it sometime before, that start to look at yourself from the crown of your head all the way, again, step by step, right, and top down, all the way to the soul, very soul of your own foot. And then look, is there anywhere you can find something that you can call I or I am? And so this analytical meditation will help you to find actually you are not as you think, or you are not somewhere that you believe, and that's that's the very place that you are located, or you can define. And so that's because of this analytical is wisdom, and as in nature is a wisdom, and it is awareness, a clear awareness. So once you develop this clear awareness, you always see the things, see the things, and as it is. In other words, you will see the true status of the thing which you normally fail to see. You will see the things and go through. You will penetrating the wrong impression and go right ahead to the actuality of the thing or the reality. So then you can know for sure that what is the most important thing and for you in life. So this will give you some kind of determination, right? And your clear understanding will give you a determination, and then this determination will naturally give you the sense of purpose. And once you have the purpose of clear purpose of life, and then you will have this strong faith, right? The most important things that you think you need to accomplish, and then you will make an effort, right? You will make effort, and your effort will bring the ultimate result, and that result is now you are free from the fear of the death, and you will see all the spiritual qualities. And so finally, let me see this. So this is how you should really apply this very teaching on the impermanence of death. And because as I discussed in the comment, and I saw the analysis that there is really the immediate benefits and the ultimate benefits if you bring this into meditation. If you not seriously doing this, then I would say maybe you should not bother the death at all, and just keep quiet and think of nothing about it. Why? Because it's rather to think of death is rather is unpleasant feeling. But if you take this as a path, as the spiritual means to overcome the fear and the confusions, then it is a very important practice. Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I think it was Mashes. So just make clear the way to overcome the four illusions, four mistaken view, and your very object of your meditative contemplation, or your contemplation of meditative analysis, meditative the concentration is your own body. Okay, so let me say again, and your body is the object of your meditation, right? And with respect to overcome the four illusions, meaning that so you have to put your body, your physical and aspect of you, sort of, and put it as the objects, and then you look at that very objects, right, and meditatively, right, and then start analyzes that very body is that clean, right? Because your natural inclination or the sense is that your body is clean. So now you aimed zoom, sort of you zoom in to that very entity which we call the body in the meditation. Look, it is indeed is a clean or not. Which part of the body and is clean or what you name the clean. And then again, move on to that very body, right? The object of your meditative the concentration is something is pleasurable or not, right? And then again, turn or move on to see is your body something is been fixed, changeless, right? And then move on and see your body from the top of the crown all the way to the sole of your foot. Something that's there is an I or prominent person and within it. So don't forget this crucial point. So this is the analytical meditation, and in this particular case, is that you must integrate or bring your sense of your body, right, and take it, make it, use it as the object of your analytical meditation. So now have.